I began my aviation journey when I was a 19-year-old kid. I was an air traffic controller. My job was to guide strangers that I would never meet to places that I would never see on flights that I would never take, to help them navigate and land safely. So one night, I'm in the radar room and I get this urgent call, "Mayday, Mayday, Mayday." It was a pilot. He told me that he was lost, that the instruments that he used to navigate were not working, and he had encountered severe weather. So I looked at my radar screen, and I'm trying to figure out and find out where this pilot is. So when I looked at the radar screen, it occurred to me that this guy is in trouble. He needs help. He's surrounded by weather, and if his instruments weren't working, he's essentially flying blind. And to make matters worse, he radios back to me and he says, "Control, we need to land immediately. We are dangerously low on fuel and conditions are deteriorating." What do I do? Now keep in mind, I'm a 19-year-old kid, and this guy has no idea that his life is in my hands, right? But then I recognize that I have a perspective that he doesn't. I can see some things that he can't see. So I start navigating him in a break in the weather to another landing strip that was close by, but the landing conditions were more favorable. So for what was minutes that felt like hours, I'm hoping that this guy is going to be okay. I'm still waiting. After a few minutes, I hear a call. "Control, we've landed safely. We've made it." By the time he landed, he only had 8 minutes of fuel left. That circumstance taught me a powerful lesson that night. Sometimes we all get lost, and we need a voice in the dark to help navigate us to a place where the course is clear. It also taught me another lesson, that sometimes it is not the smooth journey that shapes us, that defines us. Sometimes it's the turbulence, it's the bad weather, it's the detours that put us on our true course. You know, my story has so many similarities to that lost pilot. In fact, a few years before our paths crossed, I was lost too. I had plenty of blank spaces in my map. And when I think about the things that shifted us, I think about what were the changes in my life that helped define and guided me. You see, this is a neighborhood that I grew up in. And it's the type of neighborhood that you hear about so often, unfortunately. A neighborhood that is riddled with crime and drugs and violence and severe poverty on almost every corner. And if someone would have asked, "Young Michael, would I have ever dreamed of being an air traffic controller?" Man, I'd laughed in your face, right? Why? First of all, if I'm being honest, I thought an air traffic controller were those dudes outside that had the little orange sticks doing all this and this and that. I mean, I can't be the only one. Somebody else had to think about that as a little kid too, right? Right. But the other reality is, in the places, in the spaces that I grew up, those dreams and those opportunities weren't available. Because you see, just like my neighborhood was chaotic, at home wasn't much better. I grew up in a home where there was pockets of domestic violence. Behind the scenes and behind the closed doors, there were elements of substance abuse and alcoholism by certain family members. The very people that were supposed to protect me, I had to protect myself from them at times. I was angry. At times, I leaned into apathy more than I did ambition. I was in a circumstance where by the time I was in high school, I was on the verge of failing. not because I couldn't do the work, not because I didn't have the ability, but because I felt unseen, unheard. I had no direction. I felt lost. And despite those circumstances, I held on to hope. Hope that things could be different. Hope that somehow life could be better. And that hope came to me in the form of mentorship. And that's what I'm here to talk to you all about tonight. I want you to reframe the way that you think about mentorship. Not as something that is kind of nice to do, that we do as a charity, or something that we stumble into on occasion, but mentorship as a superpower that has the ability to transform trajectories and lives and organizations in a profound and powerful way. Now, when we often think of mentorship, we think of someone that has a significant position, or maybe a lofty title, or maybe they have a high degree of education. But what about somebody like this? This person was a farmer. He grew up in the deep, segregated, rural South. He barely had a fourth grade education, but was one of the most brilliant people that I'd ever met. This man was my grandfather, Arthur Stanford. And when I was bouncing from home to home, from place to place, and I didn't have a father figure, he was the one that showed me how I could reach beyond my limitations, how I could be stronger than my circumstances and bigger than my excuses. Another mentor that I had at a pivotal time in my life, when I was on the verge of failing, her name was Miss Crawford, and she was one of my high school teachers. And I remember one day after class, she came and grabbed me by the shoulder, and she looked at me over a little glasses, and she said, "Michael, I see something in you. You can do so much better. You're a smart young man. You can be somebody. But you have to decide. You have to put in the work. And if you decide to do that, I will be here to help you in any way that I can." As simple as that was, it was transformative. It changed my life. And that's why I refer to mentorship as a superpower. It's not dramatic. It doesn't swoop down from the sky. It doesn't roll up on you with superhero theme music. But it's sometimes the intentional ability for someone to see you and to say, "How can I help you?" Now, my grandfather and Miss Crawford, they were like real superheroes to me. But I assure you, they didn't have a superhero cape or have some superhero suit. But what they did for me by investing in my potential and mentoring me, they gave me the belief and the courage that one day I can earn mine. In a real sense, they put me on a path of possibilities. They shifted my course when I was lost. And because of their guidance, because of them seeing and investing in me, I was able to finish high school. I was able to go on to the military. I was able to become that air traffic controller so I can help that pilot in that dark night. I was able to eventually graduate from college. And while they didn't live long enough to see some of the heights that I would reach, because of their guidance, because of their investment, because of them unlocking my potential and my power, I stand here tonight before you as the Chief Executive Officer of America's favorite airport, Tampa International. One of the most respected, highly regarded, and most successful, efficient airports in the entire country, if not in the world. Now, some people would say, "Michael, you've been a success, man. You've made it." Maybe. But here's what I know about success. Nobody achieves anything great by themselves. We all have somebody in our corner. Consider icons like Oprah Winfrey. She understood that the superpower of mentorship is the reason that her career was so successful at an early age. Her mentor was the poet laureate Maya Angelou, whom she called her mentor, sister, mother, and friend. And some of Maya's guidance to Oprah was, when you learn, you teach. And when you get, you give. This shaped not only her entertainment career, her philanthropy, where she has been able to touch hundreds of millions of people around the world. How about this guy, Steve Jobs, the legendary founder of Apple? He was a mentor to another young tech mogul, a guy named Mark Zuckerberg. His mentorship allowed Zuckerberg to take a startup business from the dorm room all the way to becoming a technological powerhouse, connecting billions of people across the planet. Now imagine if these critical connections between the mentors and mentees hadn't occurred. Perhaps Oprah and Zuckerberg would have continued to be successful as we know them. Or maybe their trajectories would have changed a little bit, or maybe their journeys would have stalled out altogether. You see, Oprah's story, Zuckerberg's story, or even mine, they're not anomalies. They're a powerful testament to what mentorship can do as a superpower, unlocking potential and possibilities where sometimes you don't even know that they exist. And when you think about it, it's not just the mentee that grows, it's also the mentor. Both sides soaring and flying higher together. Now, I want to do something real quick, and I need your help. I want you to think about someone in your life when you were flying blind, when you were in the dark, someone that helped light the way for you or someone that you know. Maybe it was a boss. Maybe it was a coach. Maybe it was a teacher like Miss Crawford was there for me. Or maybe you were someone who mentored someone when they were in the dark. You helped them by whispering in their ear and giving them a little push when they were stuck so they can move forward. Now, if that is somebody in this room and you've been touched or know someone who's been touched, help me give mentors a round of applause. Help me right now. Help me right now. You hear that? You see that? That is the power of mentorship. Just like your applause have reverberated through this room, mentorship has the ability and the power to reverberate through society, transforming people in profound and powerful ways. And not only does mentorship have the ability to transform people, it also can turbocharge organizations and companies. When you consider the fact that 98% of the Fortune 500 companies have some type of mentorship program. Why? Because it works. As a lawyer, I tell you I'll go off of evidence. The evidence is inescapable. When you consider the fact that they report greater profitability, higher employee retention and engagement, and guess what? Here's the true magic of mentorship. People who have been mentored become mentors themselves at an overwhelming and alarming rate. Now think about that for a moment, right? What does that really mean in our organizations? It means stronger organizations. It means more engaged and supported employees. It means a thriving community that grows up all around them. The power is growing exponentially when we just take time to focus on someone else's potential. Now, imagine for a moment. Imagine if all of us were more intentional in unlocking that superpower, investing time, investing energy in someone else's potential. What could we do as a community together? So the question becomes, why aren't more of us leveraging this amazing power, something that is a game changer that allows you to be, as a company, more competitive, as a human being, more successful? Well, I think there are many reasons. A lot of times we tell ourselves that we're busy, so I got to do me. I got to focus on what I'm trying to do. I don't have enough time. But, I wonder sometimes, what if we spend a little less time scrolling? Or maybe we spent a little less time being distracted by things that don't add value. What could we do with that time to go out and invest in someone or invest in ourselves to go further and grow higher? Sometimes we tell ourselves that maybe I need to be a part of a formal program. I can't lean into mentorship alone. Or maybe we tell ourselves that we need some type of pedigree or some type of title. But you know what, folks? None of that really matters. Because unlocking the power of mentorship in someone, it's not about titles. It's not about positions. It's about human connectivity. It's about someone seeing the possibility in someone else and taking time to invest a little bit of wisdom in them so they can help that person progress and help that person grow, even when they don't believe that it's possible for themselves. This is one of the last pictures I took with my grandfather shortly before he passed away and before I completed law school. And if you ask my grandfather in the Southern vernacular that he would respond in, if I say, "Granddad, do they need a title or do they need some high-level position?" He'll say, "They don't need none of that. That's foolish. All they need is to show up." But the other thing that he would tell me when I would spend time with him, he would share with me from the depths of his wisdom. He says, "Son, continue to learn. Be somebody so you go and help somebody." Throughout my entire professional career to this day, I apply that lesson. I find two people that are ahead of me to mentor me and learn from, and I find two people behind me to pull forward and help them. The other thing he told me is, "Son, don't waste your time wasting time, because tomorrow is not promised." So if you take nothing out of our conversation tonight, I want you to hear the wisdom of my grandfather and know that he's right. The time is now to unlock that superpower by focusing energy and effort and helping lift someone, to reach out. And I encourage everyone in this room to reach outside of your normal circle. Maybe people that you don't share a common background with. You don't have the same ideology with. You may not even share the same politics, but there is potential and promise in them. And you go to that person and you say, "I see you. I'm here to help you. What can I do to help you grow?" And if you are someone who wants to soar higher and go further, go out and find you a mentor that can unlock that power in you. I guarantee you, if we all do that, we may be amazed by what we discover. You know, in my business, before every flight, the flight attendant tells us, "Put your own oxygen mask on first," right? But what do they say next? When you've secured your oxygen mask, help the person next to you secure theirs. Because true success is helping someone beside you breathe a little bit easier. And mentorship is like a superpower. It's like sharing your oxygen and helping someone else grow and soar higher. You know, my grandfather's wisdom can be summed up perhaps in one of my favorite African proverbs that says, "If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together." Let that sink in for a moment. Let's be intentional as we climb. Let's lift somebody else. Let's be intentional in sharing our map, in sharing our oxygen, in navigating and guiding someone else through the storm so their journey may be more clear. Because the view at the top means nothing if we don't reach back, lift someone up, help them soar so they can see the view more clearly with us together. Thank you.